On the bench today, we have the Chase Bliss Brothers AM pedal, and we're going to do a deep dive and do some signal analysis on the signal path and find out how it helps you create a great tone. The Brothers AM pedal is a combination of two great pedal companies working together. So Chase Bliss, I always think, is great at automation and creating great tones, and Analog Man is the king of tone himself. And this pedal is a king of tone with added Chase Bliss automation. And so to understand how this pedal works and the signal path, we're also going to study two other pedals, which is the Beano Boost, which you can see to the right, and the Prince of Tone, which you can see to the left. So let's go ahead and do a schematic review. Let's first of all look at the Rangemaster circuit. This is a really early pedal. It's very basic design, and it's called a treble booster. In effect, though, it is a bass attenuator. So this capacitor here forms a high-pass filter network, and so the bass is being attenuated. When these higher frequency signals pass through here, we have an amplification stage driven by this pot and this resistor. So when this value is high, you get the maximum output, and when this is low, you get zero output. And so you're boosting all the treble frequencies. And it was originally made to lighten up the original Marshall amplifiers, as they were pretty low-endy, mushy sounding. People like Eric Clapton used this circuit made by Dallas Arbiter. So now let's go on to the next circuit. I reviewed this schematic when I did the Seriatone Horsebreaker mods. It's originally derived from a Bluesbreaker pedal made by Marshall. And I'm going to say there's really three elements to this pedal. First of all is this gain stage here. And that is controlled by this resistor. So when the resistor is in one position, you get a lot of gain. And when it's in another position, you don't get a lot of gain due to the negative feedback around this op amp here. And then the next thing is the second stage, and this second stage doesn't have a variable gain, but it has three ways of working. So first of all, and it's all to do with these diodes. So when the diodes are totally not engaged, which is what you call the boost mode, this is just a straight amplifier, and the gain is probably this resistor divided by this resistor. Now, when you have them in the overdrive position, these now become soft clippers. So they go round the outside. They are in the feedback loop of the op amp, and the forward voltage drop limits the amount of voltage that's passed through in the feedback loop. And then the other switch position is the distortion position, and this is when they are connected between this point and Vref, and that makes it a hard clipper. So that's the distortion side. So that limits the actual voltage going out of the pedal to the forward voltage drop across those diodes. We're combining three great gain stages, essentially. One, which is not here, but it would precede this, and that would be your treble booster. Then there's this gain stage here, so you can turn this up to keep it clean if you want. And then you've got another gain stage here, which is a fixed gain stage, but you can determine how you want to have this configured, either as a boost, an overdrive, or as a distortion, depending on how these diodes are used. I've dimmed the lights now so we can see the pedal and the oscilloscope. I've got a signal generator here, putting 300 millivolts out peak to peak, and we're doing a 1 kilohertz sine wave, which is a mid frequency for a guitar. I'm going to engage the pedal now, so just channel 1. And this is set to low gain mode. On the dip switches at the top here, set it to high gain or low gain, so we're on low gain. So turn the pedal on, and I don't know if you see that on the scope, but it just went up a little bit. And that is because we have this gain setting set to minimum. So that's that first op amp in the Bluesbreaker or Prince of Tone circuit that we just looked at. And this is adjusting the gain around it. You can see the sine wave stays a sine wave till we get about past 70%. And then you can see it starts to overdrive the next stage and causes some clipping, and then that clipping is smoothed off by some of the capacitive filtering. So if we just put it to about there and then put the boost on, you can see if I do this, so I wind the gain down. This is typical-ish of the signal that you would get out of a Rangemaster with some clipping. And then if I go that way, so there's a sun on this side and there's not so sun on this side. So I imagine the sunny side is the brighter. So it would be a much lower value of capacitor on the sunny side as it is on the not so sunny side. But we're not doing a frequency response test now, so I can't verify that. We're just using a 1 kilohertz sine wave. And so if I now engage the second stage, we get some. This is the gain. We get some more clipping. Well, the amplitude with the settings that we've got here, engaging the second side is an amplitude increase. And this pedal has a lot of headroom. We're currently looking at 8.4 volts peak to peak with this signal. So if I take this off and then turn this up, clean gain, and then turn this guy up, let's see how far we can go while keeping it clean. I think that's about it. So wow, that is 12 volts peak to peak. That's a pure sine wave coming out, so it's not distorted. So that's really quite a lot of headroom. And seeing it's a 9 volt supply, it looks like there's a voltage booster in there as well. So in terms of just being a boost pedal, it is a super high headroom boost pedal. And you know, I'm familiar with the schematics of the pedal that it's based on, and it has, you know, it doesn't have a voltage boost. This is a great improvement in terms of headroom that Chase Bliss and Analog Man have done with this pedal, and taking advantage of the higher voltage supply rails that this pedal has. So fantastic. Now let's go on and do some analysis with some diodes. I've just changed the amplitude range on the scope. We're still in boost, so that is a sine wave, and I do that because now we're going to engage diodes, and diodes are always going to compress the signal. So let's put a diode in. So this one is overdrive. So this is the soft clipper. So now we've limited the voltage around the op amp. And so this is what a soft clipping signal looks like. So let's turn up the gain. And it's quite a cleanish clip. What we are clipping, it is adding distortion. But again, the Bluesbreaker is not a full-on metal zone distortion pedal, so I'm not going to expect to see anything like that. Or is it a fuzz box? But it is more an enhancer of the guitar tone of, say, a Les Paul, and you know, you hit the strings harder and you get a little more distortion out of it. So that's how this pedal has been designed. So let's we'll just leave the gain up, and now let's go into distortion. So this is the hard clipper now. So the voltage, max voltage, is always going to be limited by those clipping diodes. So we got 1.6 volts. There's 2 sets of diodes in there. So that forward voltage, 1.6, I think they're supposed to be germaniums, aren't they? I have to check. But let's turn the gain down. So again, you know, the filtering has been done in a way so don't get very hard clipping, so the edges are rounded off. So that is the hard clipper. So that's voltage is never going to get higher than here, 1.5 volts. So why don't we leave it in hard clip now and engage the second stage? I knew that was going to happen. So remember, we left it where the first and second stage were clean boosts. So now what we've got is the first stage is a hard clipper, set to distortion, and I've got the second stage set to amplification, essentially clean boost. And what we've done, let's compare it, is taken that signal, shoved it into the front end of this guy, got the gain on minimum, and let's switch it off. Turn the gain down a little more. Just trying to get it so they match in shape. No, we are driving this side a little harder because you can see the waveforms are slightly different. And then as you turn the gain up, this thing goes into distortion pretty quickly, probably because of the high voltage coming out of here, driving that first op amp of the second side of the pedal. Oh, that's a lot of voltage. I wonder what that sounds like. It's a big distortion. So it's a clip signal with a peak-to-peak voltage of 13 volts. It's pretty amazing. This will drive the front end of a tube amp really hard, and you should be able to extract some good tones out of the tube amp. And now, just for fun, let's put in the Beano Boost. And at this point, it has limited effect because we are overdriving everything. So you're just adding a bit more signal into something where you're already clipped and at the rails, and we're at 13 volts. So let's wind the gain back here. Wind the gain back here. Remembering we're still in clean boost here. And then put this guy in. And then that represents an overdriven signal, as opposed to what we're doing is overdriving this side. This side of the pedal's being overdriven. This side is being overdriven. And but then it's compressed because we have hard clippers on, and so it's limiting the voltage out of here, but it's still quite high voltage. Then we're driving this side, which is still on clean boost, so this is just performing some amplification. It's obviously adding distortion because I can see that on the scope, but that's quite an interesting signal setup. Now let's go on to changing the second stage to high gain. So okay, so now that's set to high gain on the second stage, so that's our boost stage. And we've squeezed a little more voltage out, maybe? Yeah, half a volt or so. Or, oh wait, no, wrong side. Right, now they're actually both in high gain mode, but I've got these gains set so high and I've got the boost in. It's hard to tell, but yeah, that's good. So, what's going on here is that side 1, this side, is overdriving this side, and that's boost, that's clipped, soft clipper, and then that's the hard clipper. And so if I turn this down, switch this switch into the down position, now you can see I'm not driving this side as hard from this side because I just set this to the low gain, and then the pedals just maxed out. Oh, actually it's compressed because I'm in distortion, so if I put boost on and then did it that way, we're back to a lovely clean signal, and that clean signal is 11.5 volts. Interesting stuff. Let's turn this side off. And so that's the gain difference between the two when they're both in boost. So now let's do this. Let's keep this in boost and then put this into clip. Switch it on. So now the output of this is always going to compress this. So no matter what we do on this side, this voltage coming out, it's not going to be much bigger than what we limit it to with the clipping diodes. So we can turn our gain up. It just gets more and more distorted. We can turn the gain up here. and we're just driving a more and more signal into there, and then we can add the boost, and we're just driving even more signal. So it's super distorted at this point, and again, the signal is always going to be limited or clipped by the diodes, either the hard clippers or the soft clippers there. And so if we put it back to boost, that's quite a nice distorted signal that would probably sound very pleasant to the ear. So let's plug the guitar in now and experiment with a couple of the settings that we've looked at, and see how it sounds. Lights back on, got the pedal hooked up to the guitar, Orange Crush 100 on the clean channel. I've put the tone to the mid position here, and the gain is currently there. So let's put it back down, and we're on boost. So this is the tone without. And then let's engage the pedal. So that sounds a little attenuated, so let's turn up the gain. That's more like it. And don't forget, you know, from the measurements we did, that is still clean boost. Driving a lot of voltage though, I presume, into the amplifier. Let's put in the second channel, also on boost. Yeah, now we're overdriving the amplifier, because I remember from the settings that we had earlier, this is clean all the way through. So this is just putting a massive guitar signal into the amplifier. Just listen to those harmonics. Fantastic. So 2 stages of gain here. So let's add the third stage. So this is our boost. Let's do the dull side first. So yeah, so that is a smaller value of capacitor. Let's turn this down. Let's turn this down because of all the noise. So it is a bigger capacitor on the sunny side. So sorry, a smaller capacitor. So we're passing less bass on this side than we are on this side. And as we saw when we saw the signal, this does overdrive these guys quite a lot. So we go straight from clean boost. Just listening to the changing volumes when we put this one on, and we're definitely getting a lot of voltage gain between this side and this side. It's quite enjoyable because it does create some fantastic harmonics. So let's do this next experiment. Let's take the boost out. You can even hear the gain difference. Alright, so let's take the boost out and let's do one of these clippers. And so this is the overdrive. Turn it up a bit. So let's go now from boost to distortion. So that overdriven sound was purely because we're driving the first stage. The gain on the first stage was set high. So this is overdriving now. Immediately you can hear a reduction in volume because of the voltage is now limited by the clipping diodes. Let's leave it in distortion and then put this guy on, which is a boost. Turn that down. So at that point we're throwing in a very high voltage distorted signal. Let's gang up the distortions now. Well, let's have this one on distortion, this one on overdrive. Fantastic, and let's just do one more thing and turn this guy on, which should really overdrive. Listen to that noise. A guitar pickup is picking up every piece of electrical interference here in the lab.
Fantastic.